The opinions and suggestions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and not necessarily endorsed by program sponsors or any radio station, media company, or platform broadcasting this program. The following program is a product of Causeway LLC. The information in this broadcast is not intended as investment, tax, or financial advice. Matthew Moore is not a licensed investment advisor and speaks solely from his experience and opinions. All information in this broadcast is for entertainment or educational purposes only. Matthew Moore, Causeway LLC, and the company or platform broadcasting this program is not responsible for the success or failure of any person's investment decisions or purchases. Matthew Moore, Causeway LLC, and the company or platform broadcasting this program makes no and expressly disclaims all representations, warranties, and guarantees with respect to this broadcast and its sponsors. Investing in any market is inherently risky and can be financially dangerous. Invest at your own risk.
Government officials we will continue to inform you as this story unfolds.
Welcome to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore, the Bitcoin-focused radio show that's waking the masses to the fiat money Ponzi scheme. Money is changing, and your freedom is at stake. So stick around and learn how to empower yourself for this new digital age. Now, here's your host, Matthew J. Moore.
Welcome, America, and welcome, world. No matter where you are or who you are or what you're doing, I am going to welcome every single one of you Bitcoin lovers, newbies, and maybe even an expert. You might be an expert listening to this show. I don't care, but you're now listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore, and yes, the rumor is true. This is America's Bitcoin-focused radio show. It's a place, a hot place right now, because we're sitting here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and God, it's like the gates of hell have opened up, but we're here sweating, cooling off, but we're going to talk about things on this show. If you're a regular listener, we talk about liberty, we talk about money, we talk about history, we talk about just this thing called Bitcoin, this technology that's literally changing the world. It already has changed the world. And if you're listening to this show or have listened to this show before, you know very well that we follow the Bitcoin news, we follow the Bitcoin space, and you're probably quite familiar too. But here's the thing. Did you know that there are projects, jurisdictions, initiatives out there that maybe sometime have fallen, off the radar, or at least on my radar? I'm always learning things all the time, and I'm always surprised about some of these things that come across my table or even my awareness, and it just gets me excited all over again, like I found Bitcoin for the first time. But today we're going to talk about one of these hidden gems. Some of you might be familiar with it, but this place is called Roatan Honduras. Yeah, that's right. Roatan, Honduras. You might have heard of El Salvador. You might have heard some other cities and countries doing things with Bitcoin, using it as money. But this is a place where Bitcoin is reigning as king. I mean, there's a Bitcoin education center known as AmityAge Academy, which I believe I'm saying that correctly, an operation that is literally changing the way people are seeing money, using money, and how this little island in Honduras is kind of like this Bitcoin ecosystem, this economy and we're going to find out really soon how they're doing and whether they're thriving and how they're using Bitcoin, how many businesses accept Bitcoin. And on top of that, it's a beautiful place. I was looking at pictures, and I heard rumor that it's actually one of the best beaches in the world. And there's all these expats, there's all these people that come from all over the world to experience this beautiful, beautiful island. And we're gonna bring somebody on to talk about this, and I'll introduce her here shortly. She's here in Tulsa with us. But before I do need to give a shout out to my producer, Brian LaRue. He was the one that produced the awesome intro and outros, the sound effects. And I just want to let you guys know, if you have a podcast, a radio show, some kind of audio initiative that you're trying to do, maybe you're a musician and you're looking for some music beds, maybe you're a filmmaker, go check him out at beyonduproductions.com. He's the one that's made this show sound phenomenal, in my opinion. That's beyonduproductions.com. This guy is for hire, and he does phenomenal work. But I say we dive into the show, we get things started, because today in studio live, we have AmityAge Academy educator, Anita Edney. I say your last name right?
Yes, sir. You got it.
All right, good. There's a lot of words I'm learning how to say in this episode, so bear with me. Anita spends a lot of time on the island of Roatan, but she is here with me in person. Anita, I want to welcome you, but for our listeners who may be unfamiliar with who you are, what you do, go ahead and share in your own words what it is that this is what you're doing in Honduras.
So it's really a crazy story, Matt. I met my husband 3 years ago. I was living in Claremore, Oklahoma, so just right here by Tulsa. And I was an educator, not a Bitcoin educator at the time, a completely different sort. I ran a batters intervention program in Tulsa. And so anyways, long story short, when I met my husband, he had a dream of moving to an island and becoming a professional scuba diver. So we went on vacation there. It was right at the start of COVID. Kids weren't going to school. Everybody was out on quarantine. And we just really fell in love with the place. We went down there and spent a week on the beach and came home and decided, you know what, we're going to make this dream come true, and we're going to go ahead and move there. We had actually made some investments. We had invested in Bitcoin at the bottom of the bear market in 2020, and so we were able to do so. And so we just packed up our family, my two kids, 14 and 11-year-old daughters at the time, and packed up and moved to Honduras. Now, we just wanted to retire and scuba dive. We had no idea anything that was going on. We did not know that the special jurisdiction Prospera existed there. We did not know they were building a Bitcoin education center. We really just wanted to move to an island and dive. So it was so much serendipity involved in how I ended up there and how I started this journey. So I get there and I just start looking on social media to see if there's a Bitcoin community there in Roatan. And sure enough, I stumble upon, the Facebook pages. There's a Roatan Bitcoin community group. But Deshaun Matuska, who is the founder of AmityAge, had advertised on there for a teacher's academy to come and learn a 6-week course about Bitcoin. So my husband and I signed up for the course and we took it. And at the end of it, Deshaun asked me if I wanted a job there at the academy. So it's a beautiful building there in Pristine Bay on a wonderful resort. Just like the name implies, it's absolutely gorgeous, pristine. And so here I am. Fast forward, it's been a year later, and we're going strong.
That is amazing. Well, I love to hear that. And, Anita, before we really kind of get into the nitty-gritty of this Bitcoin island, Roatan, this is obviously, this has been put on my radar recently when you spoke at the Tulsa Bitcoin meetup. But I like to hear from people who come on the show, their expertise, the products, the services that they're involved in, all that stuff. All that's good. But I want to know what it was that caused you and your husband to have your orange pill moment. How did you guys stumble upon Bitcoin? Was it just kind of one of those things like, hey, I heard people are making money with this. Let's buy some Bitcoin?
No, honestly. So my husband had gotten in. He had been one of the people that bought when everything was flying up in 2017, right before it crashed. So he was a believer already. He was in the space, but just very, very casually. Worked a full-time job, had put a little bit in, lost a whole lot, and was like, "Hey, I want to get back into this," but really wasn't doing anything with it. And so when him and I got together, and I sold my home, and I had a fair amount of equity that I wanted to invest in something, he's like, "You need to look at Bitcoin." When you look at Bitcoin. So I did. That's where I put, the money, my equity that I had to invest. And anything that I do in life, I don't do it casually. So, of course, if I'm going to put a large amount of money into something, I'm going to start researching and trying to understand it. So we both just, from that moment on, when we started putting a little money in, did the deep dive. And, I think with Bitcoin, I think it's fair to say most people come to the space as speculators trying to make money. But it seems inevitable that no matter what, you end up going down that rabbit hole of wanting a whole new financial revolution,
right?
And making that transition. So that's where we're at. We went from just trying to make some money, trying to get rich quick, for lack of better words, to wanting to change the whole financial system.
Wow. And then destiny would just have it that you guys moved to a place and you're unaware of what's going on there. And you've already been bitten by the Bitcoin bug. And I'll probably ask you some more about that here in a minute. But so why Roatan, Honduras? I mean, how did this island, and you may not have all the details here, but how did this island become this Bitcoin island of the Caribbean? I mean, can you explain how that transpired? Why is this such a special jurisdiction?
So it really, to be perfectly honest, a year and a half ago, it wasn't the Bitcoin island of the Caribbean. AmityAge, myself and my team have worked very hard to start to make it that. But what made it a good starting point for this is Prospera. So the special economic zone there on the island. So the previous administration, not the current president in Honduras, but the previous president and 4 attorneys got together and decided to model this jurisdiction after Dubai, Hong Kong, Singapore, the charter cities, and the success that they had there. And so, like I said, the previous president and those 4 attorneys set up a special jurisdiction on Roatan to try to bring, financial investors, more job opportunities, and just a better system.
Well,
Honduras.
I mean, it seems like they're doing a good job from what I've heard. And but how much? I guess you may not have the answers to this, but since this came from, I guess, the previous administration in Honduras, there may not have been a whole lot of convincing to have this special zone happen, right?
No, I think the president at the time was very much on board with it. He really was passionate about bringing more opportunities to Honduras, bringing more investors, higher paying jobs, more job opportunities for the Honduran people. So, no, and it's really amazing. It's an autonomous zone. They have a private government, their own fiscal, regulatory, and legal framework. So it's really cool how they operate.
And they don't do capital gains on Bitcoin down there here.
No, and it's actually accepted as legal tender there as well. So
that is awesome.
one of the only other places in the world other than El Salvador.
That's fantastic. And that's big news. That's big news, people. But so mark that down, make a note, put it in the back of your head, text a friend. All right, Anita, let's go into this. You've been down there, you've been interacting with the locals, and you've been interacting with businesses, you've been teaching people. How has this experiment been received by the locals on the island?
So it's been a mixed bag. It's been very interesting because we have 2 different sort of layers to the situation that we're dealing with. We're not only dealing with people's knowledge and reaction to Bitcoin, so that's obviously our primary, goal and intention. But then we also have how people feel about Prospera, how people feel about that special jurisdiction. So there was some pushback from the locals when the legislation was set up for Prospera. There was some things in there about land being able to be bought and this and that. So that is separate from us. We do operate under the Prospera jurisdiction, but we are not Prospera. We're AmityAge. So, yes, some of the locals are opposed to Prospera, but also there's also a huge amount of support because Prospera primarily employs Honduran locals. There's a very small percentage of expats that are employed like myself, but the majority are Honduran locals. And the pay is exponentially greater than any pay that a local Honduran can make outside of Prospera.
Right.
So it's been a great opportunity for local Hondurans.
Wow. Okay. Well, all right. Well, so let's talk a little bit about the AmityAge Academy. Says here that it was the first Bitcoin education center in Honduras, but how has this initiative evolved? Did it start out one way and it's now looking like something else, or has it kind of been the same the whole time?
No, it's really evolved a lot since the beginning. So our mission statement is to educate 100 million people on Bitcoin by 2030, which I know is an incredibly lofty goal. But we don't intend to do that with just our small staff on Roatan, obviously. Our main goal is to make educators out of other people in the community so that they go out and educate their communities.
Right.
And so we've started several initiatives, and we're actually working on one right now, Educate the Educators, where we're going to be, we announced it in Prague. Our team attended the Bitcoin Prague convention, and so we announced it then that we're going to open up a program to anybody that wants to come to Roatan and do like an intense academy, similar to what I did when I became a teacher on the island, but also stay and enjoy the island and all the, kind of like a vacation / Bitcoin boot camp to learn how to teach Bitcoin to your community.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, when I was at the Bitcoin meetup here in Tulsa, you were talking a little bit about integrating into the school system, and it sounded like you kind of had a similar approach how I've often taken it when I'm educating people about kind of like, Bitcoin in general, because a lot of times we can come off we drank the Kool-Aid and we're trying to indoctrinate people. But really, once you get people to understand the broken fiat money system and get them to understand the definition of what money actually is, Bitcoin kind of fits into that picture a little bit easier and for people to understand. And it seems like, oh, well, that makes sense. This piece of technology is very useful then. Is that kind of the route that you guys have taken, if I understand that you guys have integrated into the school system?
Absolutely. So in the very beginning, when we first opened our center, we focused on sort of this, we would hold these open academies at the center and invite adults from the community to come. Attendance was okay, about like a Tulsa meetup, but we really didn't feel like we were making the impact that we wanted to make. And so we sort of changed our approach, and we did start integrating ourselves into the school system. So our very first effort, and this was right after we opened, we did what we called the Bitcoin Hill Run, which we utilized the platform Geyser Fund. I don't know if you're familiar with Geyser Fund, but it's a Bitcoin-based only fundraising platform. So you can raise funds for various projects through Bitcoin-only donations. So we set up a Geyser Fund donation for 2 local schools there to receive the proceeds. And we did a charity run, and I think we raised about $3,000 to go to those 2 schools. Because something you may not know about Roatan, most people don't even know where it's at, is it's a third world country, and the schools there only go to 6th grade unless you go to private school afterwards, and most of the schools are very dilapidated, may not have running water, electricity, the conditions are unsafe, and so we wanted to focus on being able to help those communities. But one of the things, like you mentioned, it's very difficult to get a school system to accept you if they think that you're just trying to come and orange pill the children or indoctrinate them on some new financial system. So we take the approach of coming in and offering financial literacy. And by that I mean, like you mentioned, the history of money, the properties of money. What is money? Why have past iterations failed, and what did that look like? And that's where we start. Now, once we go in and we do that and they have that understanding, then the why Bitcoin makes so much more sense, and it's so much easier to grasp and understand. And not all schools, but most schools, once we've gotten past that point, once we've just come in and offered them that financial literacy, then the next step is to talk more in depth about Bitcoin. But always at the end of that financial literacy, when we're talking about the history of money and the different iterations of money throughout history, we naturally come, once we get to fiat, then we move into, okay, what do we have now? What's the future? And then we talk about Bitcoin, and we talk about CBDCs, the centralized alternative.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Well, we've got probably about a minute before we got to go to break, but I got 2 really quick questions. A, do you have an exact number of how many businesses are using Bitcoin?
Not exact, but very close, give or take 1 or 2, 60. We have currently have 60 businesses in a very small island. So
to me, that seems like a pretty good footprint. So when it comes to, are they using primarily Lightning Network?
Yes, almost exclusively Lightning Network. We do have some bigger businesses like car rental places that accept on-chain, but mostly Lightning.
Okay. Well, go ahead, tell people where they can learn more about this. Is there a website?
Yes. Okay, so we have just our AmityAge.com. We're on all socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all just under AmityAge Academy. And then also, if you wanted to support any of our education endeavors, that's on that Geyser Fund. It's AmityAge Academy at geyser.fund.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, we're going to run to break. I want you guys to stick around, call a friend, tell them to tune in. If you're listening online, like, subscribe, comment, be a part of the conversation, because I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. Did you know about this island? Did you know about this project and what was going on? I didn't. This is news to me. We'll be right back. We've got more great conversation and questions with Anita. Stay put. We'll be right back.
Do you have Medicare, and do you use a CPAP machine? This is a national healthcare alert regarding your CPAP supplies. Using a clean CPAP mask and clean supplies is important to staying healthy. The best way to make sure your CPAP equipment is clean is to get new supplies. If you have Medicare, we have great news. Medicare will pay for you to have new clean supplies every 90 days. We'll even do all the paperwork for you to make sure that there's little to no out-of-pocket cost to you. And you don't even have to leave your home. We provide free in-home delivery. So if you're a CPAP user and you have Medicare, staying healthy with new CPAP equipment is easy. Just make this free phone call right now to get started.
Sponsored by Specialty Medical. 800-262-0318. 800-262-0318. 800-262-0318.
What does it mean to be physically, spiritually, and financially free? The right to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness, these were the ideas that made America. But what happens to these ideas when America's money becomes compromised? What do you do when the very thing that you're working for day after day is fundamentally designed to enslave you? Whether it was a conspiracy or not, you won't believe what is about to happen in this country. Arm yourself today with the truth and build your life on the foundations for liberty. Rediscover freedom in the 21st century and grab a copy of my Amazon best-selling book, Foundations for Liberty. For just $11.99, you can support this radio show by finding a copy on Amazon or by going to mattjmoore.com. Again, that's mattjmoore.com. Don't wait, because freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-795-3441. 800-795-3441. 800-795-3441.
Welcome back, America. Yes, it is round 2 of America's Bitcoin-focused radio show. You have tuned into the right spot. Hopefully you're learning something. Maybe you are one of those Bitcoin lovers like myself. Maybe you're new to this space, and maybe, just maybe, you know everything there is to know, which I highly doubt it, because this place is always evolving and I'm always learning as well, despite the wonderful guests that I have on every single week. But we've got a little bit of something for everybody. And, you know, hey, if you're still skeptical about this thing called Bitcoin, well, you're becoming the minority, but I still welcome you to be a part of the conversation. You know, you can always send me some hate mail, you know, carefully type something up and email it to me. I'd be more than happy to read it, because, we want everybody to be a part of this conversation. But I just want to make mention that this show, I'm always, every single week, I'm always impressed about the information, the ideas, the initiatives, the history that's being made every single month around the world. And today is really no exception, because I've got somebody in studio who is participating in this initiative that is changing a country, it's changing an island, it's changing a community, and ultimately it's going to change the world. It already has. But, if you've listened to this show before, we talk about Bitcoin news, and you've probably heard about the places that, like cities and countries that are using Bitcoin, celebrating Bitcoin. Maybe it's a legal tender in their jurisdiction. But today we're talking about this hidden place, or this hidden gem, or even just fairly new. It became to my attention recently about this wonderful Bitcoin oasis, which is Roatan, Honduras. It's a place that has a Bitcoin education center known as AmityAge Academy, and it's an operation that is, like I said, literally changing the way people see money, use money. The education that they're doing is top notch, and on top of that, I think it's like one of the top 10 beaches in the world as far as when it comes to this island. So you're going to be, I think you're going to be really pleasantly surprised about the stuff that's going on there and what is actually available, not just for the locals, but even for people who are coming as tourists or even expats. Maybe you want to start a life somewhere, and maybe you want to go to a place that's Bitcoin friendly. Well, this is definitely one of those options. Today in studio, we have an AmityAge Academy educator, Anita Edney. Anita spends, like I said earlier on the first segment, she spends a lot of time on the island of Roatan, but she's here with me in person today. She is another fellow Okie. Anita, since this is radio, people are tuning in all the time. Maybe they're jumping in their car. Maybe they just got home. so we got to repeat ourselves is basically what I'm saying. So introduce yourself to our listeners who may be unfamiliar with who you are, what you do, just real quick.
Yeah, no problem, Matt. So I'm originally from Texas, Oklahoma, lived over 4 decades of life here. Met my husband about 3.5 years ago, and he just had told me when we met, first date, I'm going to live on an island someday. That's my dream. So if we're going to be together, we're going to an island. So I'm like, sure, that seems like a pretty good, fair stipulations to me. So anyways, this was in 2020. This was right at the start of COVID. And, the kids were being in quarantine, weren't getting to go to school. Life was just kind of crazy at that time. So we went on vacation to Roatan and checked it out, and we absolutely fell in love. And so when we got home, we decided to accelerate that dream. It was originally going to be like, well, when the kids graduate high school, maybe 10 years from now, maybe 15, when we retire. But we decided to just go for it. So we really just went there to retire and become scuba divers. We were already Bitcoin investors, but we really didn't have any clue about the Bitcoin activities that were going on the island. It was complete serendipity. Once we got there, we realized that Prospera, the special economic zone, was there. We realized that they were building AmityAge Academy, the Bitcoin Education Center. So we found all of that after we got there, which was amazing because I had already started my Bitcoin journey, the year before. So I got there and started connecting on social media and found Deshaun Matuska, who's the founder and CEO of AmityAge, and he was hosting a Bitcoin Teachers Academy for 6 weeks. So I attended the academy, and at the close of the academy, he offered me a job, and here I am now. I've been with the academy for a year, and absolutely loving and growing with it every day.
Well, I will tell you, the first segment has been a delight, and learning about this island in Honduras. Obviously, big things are happening there. You guys are doing wonderful work. But how have you, in any way, seen things change? Would you say that the project, the initiative, the center has been a net positive? And if so, how would you classify that net positivity?
Absolutely. So in addition to just what it's done for Bitcoin adoption, and Bitcoin education, it's also helped the locals. It is a third world country. There's a lot of poverty there, and it seems to be a breeding ground for scams. So one of the things that we found when we first opened our center is people coming to our doors constantly asking for help for recovering lost funds to scams, or asking us for advice about, this project or that project. And so we've really incorporated it into our education endeavors to educate people against scams as much as we can. I've written articles that have been published in local publications. We hold free seminars, and just our doors are open at AmityAge anytime for anybody to come in. But we really try to help them distinguish, because there's as we all know, this space invites a lot of scammers.
Right.
And people, unfortunately, make that association that they just think that Bitcoin is the same as all the rest. And just assume that Bitcoin is also a scam. So that was kind of initially how we were received. We were just lumped into all of those scams. But with just being there and being consistent in what we do and being true in what we do, and then offering people that education, we've really seen the community evolve in their ability to recognize and differentiate scams. And also, the banking system there is terrible.
Right.
You can ask anybody. You go there, and on payday, you go stand in line at the bank for literally 3 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, we really are. And again, don't want to exaggerate and say we're there anywhere close to there yet. But the idea is that we're going to build a full circular economy on the island. And so far, of those 60 businesses, we have a dentist, we have an eye doctor, we have an electronics store. We have almost everything you can imagine to really fully live the Bitcoin standard. Truly, the only thing that we're missing is the grocery store, which, fingers crossed, we're working on that.
All right.
And RICO, which is the energy provider, the electric company.
Yeah.
So honestly, if we could get those two entities, or not if, when we get those two entities on board, we could live a full Bitcoin standard. I paid my rent there in Bitcoin. Yeah, everything.
It's going to happen. I believe that. No doubt about it. You know, when you talk about the island, or you talk about the center itself, what are some of the biggest needs that you guys have, you know, to help this Bitcoin experiment continue to win?
So really, we're funded basically two different ways. So our education endeavors are completely nonprofit. We do not charge the locals for, you know, the school workshops that we do, for the academies, for any of that. We offer all of that for free. So basically how we're funded is we do have a mining operation in Paraguay. It's a hosting operation. So also if anybody's interested in that, you can find more information about that on AmityAge.com as well. But we also get support from the community. We recently went to BTC Prague, and we got donations there from our Bitcoin community. We have a Geyser fund, like I mentioned before, AmityAge Academy at geyser.fund. So we get a lot of support from the Bitcoin community. Basically, if you want to sponsor a Honduran school child to go through the workshop, if you donate $50, that covers all of the curriculum, all of our expenses for our educators, travel, and all that. And again, we're not going to charge them that $50 anyway, but
Right.
it just covers our cost of printing out their books, you know, to pay our educators and all the logistics involved.
That's cool. So okay, let's look at it this way. Okay, if I'm an American, I'm here in Oklahoma, maybe I'm a Bitcoiner somewhere else in the world, and we want to come participate. We want to, you know, experience this economy, take advantage of what's going on there. What can we do? How can we participate? I think you even have like some kind of tour coming up.
Absolutely. So we have our Bitcoin Experience Tour, and it's going to be September 4th through the 14th. It's $1,495, payable only in Bitcoin, by
Nice.
the way. We only have 8 spots left. Right, I'm looking right now on our website. We only have 8 spots left, but basically that's going to include, there's going to be a sunset cruise, monkey sloth visit. That includes your accommodation, so your hotel is covered, transportation to the different events that we take you to. You'll get presentations and tours of all of Prospera that I mentioned before, the special economic zone. So you'll get to learn a lot about how that operates, and learn about our operations at AmityAge, and then also just enjoy all the tourist attractions of the island. West Bay Beach that you mentioned before is one of the top, it's on the top 10 beaches in the world.
That is crazy.
Beautiful white sand beaches, turquoise waters. It's also surrounded by the Mesoamerican Barrier Reef. So for those of you who aren't familiar, it's the second largest barrier reef in the world, the largest living, last time I checked. So stunning, absolutely stunning. If you're a scuba diver, it is just breathtaking. Even if you're not, you can snorkel, lay on the beach. It's just a gorgeous place.
So if I'm here in Tulsa, I would probably maybe fly first somewhere like in Dallas, maybe DFW, and then does the plane take me to another Honduras city, and then I've got to fly from that Honduras city to the island, or is it directly to the island?
Directly to the island from Houston or Dallas.
Wow.
Yeah, there's direct flights from Miami and Houston. I believe from Dallas also. Yes. And but yeah, so you can fly direct from any 3 of those places, and you fly directly into Roatan. So you don't have to go like to San Pedro, to the mainland, or any other surrounding place.
Wow.
You'll just get right in there.
And you know, I'm not doing this as a dig or anything like that, but what, you know, is flying to the island preferable instead of having to go to the mainland? I mean, is the perception, the economy, the you know, overall environment better than, let's say, if you were to fly into the mainland?
It's just a completely different culture. It's definitely, you know, the mainland of Honduras is not as safe. There are some, you know, the crime statistics, things like that. It's not. There are some beautiful places on the mainland. Copan is Mayan ruins and all that. But yeah, there's no reason, unless you are wanting to go, you know, visit Copan or something like that, to bother flying into the mainland. It's all the beauty and all the tourist attractions are right there in Roatan. So
the crime is actually not as bad in Roatan.
Not at all. It's like I said, it's like almost like a completely different country. You know, it is an island,
right?
And so the culture is different. Everybody speaks English there. Almost everybody there is bilingual and English speaking. That was another factor in us choosing Roatan over just, you know, other Caribbean island options when we moved. But no, it's a wonderful community there. So many expats and such a strong, supportive expat community. And yeah, the crime is just almost non-existent there.
That's so cool. That is so cool. Well, let's dive into this next question. Talk to me about how you guys. Well, you talked about funding the operation, so we won't. It's a Bitcoin mining. That's one aspect of it. We won't go more into that. But how does the bull and bear market cycle of Bitcoin affect the island? Has it been too soon to see the effects of that, since it's kind of a newer thing, or what have you noticed?
I think it's kind of no different than everywhere else. Anytime we're in a bull run, everybody gets excited. And my husband and I joke about it all the time that if you're, the mailman or your neighbor or your uncle is asking you about Bitcoin, they're excited about it and they want to know about it because it's the bull run and it's on TV and the price is running up, that's when the rest of us Bitcoiners should be concerned. and when everybody else is ignoring it and scared and worried about it because the price is down, and that's just kind of how it works. When the price is going up and flying high, fair weather people are always going to be excited and want to jump in. And so it was difficult starting this initiative in a bear market because, we had SBF and all that fallout. And again, people just automatically make the association of anything cryptocurrency to Bitcoin, regardless of if it's any relation. So I think that we're gonna see exponential growth when we get into a full-blown bull run. I think it will affect, it just affects people's fear and greed and the psychology of it all. But we've still been remarkably successful, even starting in a bear market.
Well, no doubt about it. I mean, I can see how that could be the case. We got probably about 4 minutes before we got to jump to break. But lately, El Salvador has gotten a lot of the spotlight when it comes to Bitcoin. I mean, to me, this island seems kind of like a hidden secret, even to the Bitcoin world. What efforts are taking place to get the word out? I mean, have you seen any traction in that?
Absolutely. One of the biggest strides that we made was attending BTC Prague and being presenters there and partners there. So I think I was telling you right before we started the show that we even met Michael Saylor while we were there. He visited our booth. So that was huge. Huge networking with big Bitcoiners all over the world. So that was a big opportunity for us to get our name out there. I also mentioned to you before the show started that we have a very diverse staff. So I'm an Oklahoma, Texas girl, spent my whole life, right here in Oklahoma and Texas. Our founder and CEO, Dusan Matuska, is from Slovakia. Our director of operations is a Honduran. So we've got quite the melting pot, and all of us have taken our knowledge and are spreading awareness in our, respective departments to our respective countries. So I'm here in Tulsa now, talking to the Tulsa Dow, talking to Matt, and getting the word out this way. We've been on several podcasts. Of course, we're very active on social media, but we really hope to really bring people to the island to see for themselves. So with the Bitcoin Experience Tours, we really hope that people will come and see what we're doing there. And we don't have an official date or the official announcement yet, but like I said, we're going to be starting a program in January, February. It's more intense than the Bitcoin Experience Tour. That's more of just like a vacation for Bitcoin enthusiasts. But what we're going to be doing in January, February is like an academy. It's almost like a boot camp for people that would like to be Bitcoin educators. So between those two initiatives, our social media, and meeting people like you and getting the word out that way. But again, the BTC Prague was huge for us. Okay, well, go ahead one more time. If people are interested in doing this Bitcoin tour, this getaway that you guys are offering, maybe they want to learn more about the educational center, where would they go? I would just encourage you to go to AmityAge.com, and we have everything on there. We have our flyer for our tour, and all the pertinent information, dates, money, itinerary there. We also, if you're interested in our mining hosting operation, we have all the details about that there. And then we have social media pages on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, so you can visit us there, just AmityAge Academy. And then also, if you're interested in supporting our educational endeavors, supporting a Honduran student to take a financial literacy course or a MiPrimer Bitcoin course, because we also teach that curriculum, that would be AmityAge Academy at geyser.fund.
Okay. And 30 seconds. If somebody is really interested in scuba diving, I heard there's something called Satoshi's Grave. What's that about?
Yes, it's amazing. So scuba shop there, actually Emilio Castillo is a big-time Bitcoiner. He's been in the space for a long time. And he started a dive site there at Satoshi's Grave. It's at about 60 foot deep. And we have the big Bitcoin B with all the Genesis block inscriptions on there. And then we have a little treasure chest down there with some cold storage devices and some of the little coins and just Bitcoin memorabilia. And so it's a pretty good dive. I've done it myself 3 or 4 times. I love the dive. You should definitely go check it out. Satoshi's Grave.
That is so cool. Well, what an attraction, man. Well, if you guys are listening to this show, I want you to stay put. We've got more great content coming your way. We're going to talk to Anita, ask her a couple more questions. Maybe we'll find out some more things about this island. But if you're listening to this show on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, we're all over the place. No matter what platform you're listening to, go ahead and give me a like, a share, a comment, subscribe. Do what you got to do to get the word out. Let's let people know about this Bitcoin oasis and how cheap, I guess, it is to go experience this. I mean, compared to, things in dollar prices. But go ahead. Like I said, be a part of the conversation. Send me an email. I want you guys to tell me, what do you think about this place? Would you actually go and visit this? Would you go do a scuba diving and explore Satoshi's Grave? That's kind of a fun little thing to do. I'll tell you what, I personally would love to go down there and experience that economy, experience it all together, the educational center. But we're going to be right back. We got more great content with America's Bitcoin-focused radio show. Stay put. We'll be right back.
If you're the kind of person that likes to drive a lot and your car is a little older and out of the normal warranty, keep listening. What's going on underneath the hood of your car? If your car is out of warranty, you're at risk of expensive repair bills. Now, for a couple of dollars a day, you can get an extended protection plan for your car. You love your car, so why not give it a little extra care and make sure if something goes wrong, your bank account is safe. Literally, for a couple of dollars a day, you can give yourself peace of mind that you've purchased a top-tier vehicle repair coverage plan. Call the Auto Protection Network right now and ask how you could save an additional $500 on your policy.
800-987-0618. 800-987-0618. 800-987-0618. That's 800-987-0618.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-732-9635. 800-732-9635.
What does it mean to be physically, spiritually, and financially free? The right to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness, these were the ideas that made America. But what happens to these ideas when America's money becomes compromised? What do you do when the very thing that you're working for day after day is fundamentally designed to enslave you? Whether it was a conspiracy or not, you won't believe what is about to happen in this country. Arm yourself today with the truth and build your life on the foundations for liberty. Rediscover freedom in the 21st century and grab a copy of my Amazon best-selling book, Foundations for Liberty. For just $11.99, you can support this radio show by finding a copy on Amazon or by going to mattjmoore.com. Again, that's mattjmoore.com. Don't wait, because freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. Hello. We are back in the studio. This is round 3 of America's Bitcoin-focused radio show. And yes, We're welcoming everybody. If you're a Bitcoin lover, newbie, expert, we made this show for you, and hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully you're learning something, because that's our goal every time we do this broadcast, is I want to bring great information, great guests, great conversations, and we're going to kind of speak at it from different angles. So hopefully you got nuggets that you can digest and put away and index. And, hey, we're talking about a great place, a great paradise for Bitcoin, to experience Bitcoin and a Bitcoin economy. And it's been a great conversation. I know if you've been sticking around, we're talking about this place called Roatan, Honduras. It's kind of been just now recently getting more and more attention when it comes to the Bitcoin Education Center that they have there on the island, all the Bitcoin attractions that they've got going on there, how beautiful the beaches are. I mean, I think some people would recognize, the top 10, what has one of the top 10 beaches in the world, extremely beautiful. But we're in studio. I have a AmityAge Academy. That's the Bitcoin Education Center there. An AmityAge Academy educator. Her name is Anita Edney. And Anita has spent a lot of time on the island of Roatan. But she's here with me in studio today to talk about, give us the skinny on what's going on down there and why you and I should go experience it, why we should take it for a visit and celebrate and even help what they're trying to accomplish down there in Honduras. Anita, again, one more time, this is radio. We, people are tuning in all the time. Just real briefly, share what you're doing down there in Honduras.
So basically what we're doing is we've started the first Bitcoin Education Center in Honduras, and our goal is to educate and to spread adoption and to build a circular Bitcoin economy. And we've done that by creating partnerships with all the local schools. We teach financial literacy workshops in the schools. I don't even have a count right now. I think something like 12 schools that we've done all together. And we've onboarded over 60 businesses. That includes dentists, eye doctors, electronic shops, restaurants, tattoo shops, anything you can think of just about, to live the full Bitcoin standard there. So that's our goal, just to educate as many people as possible, to educate the youth, to create a circular economy, and to really spread adoption starting in our little island.
Well, you guys are doing a wonderful job, and you obviously still come back to Tulsa. You're here. You've been here for a little bit, but you came and did a presentation not too long ago at the Tulsa Bitcoin meetup. How did you think the message that you had to present was received, and what did you think of our little Tulsa group?
I love your Tulsa group. I've talked at length with Charlie, and I've talked at length with William. And I love the ideas that they've told me that you guys have in the works here for spreading adoption. So I'm really excited to partner with them and to, network and find out more about what you guys are doing and help in any way that I can while I'm here. And as far as my message, I think it was received really well. I met a lot of people that were excited about possibly going on our Bitcoin Experience Tour. I met some folks that were possibly interested in joining or participating in our mining hosting operation. So, I had a great time. I really enjoyed the meetup.
Yeah, it was a great meetup, and people were definitely excited. I was one of them there about what you guys were doing down there in Roatan. But when it comes to Bitcoin in general, what's got you most excited about the future?
I am following very closly what's going on in the world right now with CBDCs. And right. I don't know how familiar our listeners are with that term, CBDCs, but that's a central bank digital currency. So this is just my own personal belief, but I do believe that within the next 5 to 10 years, the world will utilize digital currency, that cash will go away, and I believe that we are going that direction. And there's statistics that you can find online. I think it's currently 114 countries are in some stage of development for a CBDC, whether it's research and development, pilot, or full implementation. But basically 95% of the world's GDP is on board for a CBDC. Right. And that's terrifying for me. Yeah, the implications are terrifying. If you've done your research and you see how that's playing out in China and other places, it's really just terrifying. And so what most excites me is that we have Bitcoin, that right. we have a decentralized digital currency option, so that when the trigger is pulled by the powers that be,
right,
and when the CBDC does come, and I believe that it's not a matter of if but when. So when that day comes, I love the fact that we've already are ahead of the game in this revolution, in this movement, and that we have Bitcoin in our arsenal.
Yeah. Bitcoin is the freedom option when it comes to digital currencies. And I'll tell you what, Bitcoin is going to continue to grow in adoption. And I'm just happy that and I'm not happy that CBDCs are going to be a thing, but I think once they come out, people are going to really understand the true value of Bitcoin that much faster, I believe.
Absolutely.
So what were you going to say?
And the only other thing I wanted to add to that is just, that we have a sound money that is not inflating to death, that it has scarcity, and that, our system is set up to where it's funny because I've been gone for 2 years, and I came back and I was just looking at like the wages for like the job that I used to do. And it's literally like $20,000 more a year in a matter of 2 years. And that's not because they decided that job, was super important and we just need to pay these people more. That's inflation.
Yep.
But the thing is that our wages are never going to catch up with the cost of living.
Right.
The gap is never going to fill. And that's the game we're playing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. I mean, there's so many teachings and analogies out there that people, they always get upset with the minimum wage and the way people are getting paid. But if people really understood the real problem, like raising the minimum wage, raising wages, that's a temporary fix to. It's like putting a Band-Aid on something. You're not really treating the root cause, because the root cause is our money is losing value. It has no real true store of value, and people can't plan a life on that, or even really win depending on the rate of inflation. So very good points. We've got a couple minutes before we got to close out the show. Are there any thoughts that you want to share that maybe we didn't cover?
I just wanted to remind everybody, like I said, what we're doing, our main goal is right now our epicenter is Roatan, Honduras, and the local schools there really are suffering, really do without. And so if you want to help that in any way, we do have our Geyser Fund. I did try to go to that AmityAge Academy at geyser.fund earlier, and the link actually takes you just to Geyser Fund. So if you make it that far and you are interested in supporting, once you get to Geyser Fund, just type in AmityAge and it'll pull us right up. But you can donate and help the local school children there to receive a financial literacy course. Okay, and the people, just one more time, who have really enjoyed what you had to say, tell them where they can find more of this information again. You can go to AmityAge.com, which has all of our activities, all of our opportunities for, the vacation, the Bitcoin Experience Tour, the mining opportunities. And then if you just want to catch up day to day with all the different things that we're doing, the workshops that we're holding, the onboarding that we're doing, you can visit any of our socials. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of the above. So check us out, AmityAge Academy. Okay, and what about you? Are you on Twitter? Can people follow you on Twitter? I am. I'm Anita Another Bitcoin. And it's at I Didn't Tell You. I love it. How'd you come up with the nifty names? Well, my name is obviously Anita, and my whole life when I was little, I would get teased. You can just imagine, you can put anything after Anita. Fill in the blank. I need a book, I need a brain, I need a job, whatever. And so I just ran with that as I got older. Like in high school, it was Anita Another Beer. And then when I got into Bitcoin, it just worked. Anita Another Bitcoin, because we all need another Bitcoin. Right? Oh, that is great. Okay, well, again, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I love what you guys are doing down there in Roatan, Honduras, and I would encourage you guys, if you're listening to this show, Google Roatan, Honduras, and take a look at some of their beaches. Go to their website, and I'm telling you, this has got to be a wonderful place to go vacation and experience, especially if you're a Bitcoiner. And Anita, correct me if I'm wrong, round trip tickets from Tulsa to there is not that expensive. Not that much. It depends on the time of year, but I think we paid around less than $600 a ticket. Well, that's really reasonable, reasonable. I mean, especially when you're doing international travel. All right, guys. Well, we've got to close up this show. We have ran out of time, but thank you for joining us. Thank you for learning and being a part of the conversation. Again, this has been Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. And until next time, my friends, we'll see you same time, same week. Remember, Bitcoin is changing the world. It already has. Don't get left behind. Join us every week. We'll see you.